Hey guys, and I just want to say that I'm happy to make this video. This is the last Hero X stuff for today. Well, for a while until they make more animes of Hero X again. So yeah, I've enjoyed doing this video. Some of these I will say that I was really tired or a little bit sluggish in some of it, so yeah. So please don't mind me, don't mind that. Just enjoy the whole Hero X stuff, and guys, comment down below what you guys like about and everything. Also, like, comment and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. That's it. Say hello to this guy. This guy. Okay, they did say his villain name, but honestly, I couldn't bear to care about his name. He is. So, as you guys know, I talk about the powers and why I do the character. I talk about my feelings towards the character and his actions. This villain character is. His powers are kind of, I guess, unique. I guess. Um, Apparently, his powers are to give you a good funk, make you want to party and dance, while making you obey him. And he did get corrupted by fear, that I would say that probably intensified his feelings, because suddenly he was able to release a giant immense of fog that instead of making people compelled to do his bidding, make them also see their worst fears, being feeling the deepest of their emotions, that is sadness or anything else, to the point they will pass out. So I guess you could say he's cool. He's not really one of the greatest people I have on my list to do a Hero X villain, but he is one of the unique characters. I keep on saying that's a disco ball, how much is not, but it is. Oh God, this this is my reaction to this here, to this villain and his powers. I have some really good better ones, but God Jesus, this one is just, it's kind of low mid, but it's the first one that came out. So if you guys don't remember, I used this character last time I talked about his powers. Now I can talk about the character. The character, I thought he was very weird. I don't like. I didn't get his existence, to say the least. Like, I really didn't. I didn't get it at all. It was weird to me. Um, he was like, when he got corrupted, it was pretty interesting. When he got corrupted with fear. But him being corrupted with fear. Um, he it didn't change anything about his abilities. What was very disappointing for me. I'm not gonna lie, it was very disappointing to see him not change at all. Uh, it just made him have more range of control when it came to fear, and it gave him more range of abilities when it came to the emotions. So morally, he has a sound beat emotions, whatever. So I made a character. So let's go see it now. Say hello to a supervillain literally named Disco Head, because he got a disco ball. Disco Head's ability is basically the same things, but I've increased them even higher. Not only can he manipulate and control people's emotions at will, and making people be sad, do his bidding, all this stuff, yada yada, blah blah blah, especially from him basically doing music and dancing. He's also, I also gave him a blinding light ability, where basically he can concentrate light to his head and then shine it as a beam at people. Also, as long as he has sunlight, he can also turn invisible. So if things get too hasty, he can just go invisible, go and just run away. So yeah, honestly, this character is a pretty interesting one. I didn't really have much to do with this character, to be honest. It was just more of it was just more of a something that was there situation. So yeah, either way, that is the character Disco Head. And here we have this woman. I don't remember her goddamn name for the life of me. Either way, she was a character that I really wanted to do. Really, really bad. Like, I am not joking. When it comes to certain powers I've seen in Hero X, this was one I wanted to do the most. And so, yeah, like I said, I talk about the powers, and then next time I talk about the character when I do the artwork. But that's going to be a long time, so we have some time to wait for that. Either way, her powers are pretty unique to me, as far as I can see. She has a battle axe that can morph and transform using energy. Using Z energy, she can turn it into like a giant chain whip with the two axes, or she morphs into a bigger axe. She can use this as a fucking swing grapple, and there was a little thing where she got corrupted, where she instantly, well, when she got corrupted by fear, that suddenly, instead of giving her any new abilities, I guess it just gave her the power to shoot it as a projectile without releasing her axe. So basically, she's a combat battle warrior that basically uses energy, while I'm assuming the energy is from her own body, that she transfer it into the axe itself. Also, the axe is probably a power system itself, too. So it's a really cool ability. And it's so unique. Like, I don't think I can probably think about a few characters who have that, but it's a very rare ability for someone to have. Like, the only character I can think about is Stargirl, because technically that's her little stick. No pun intended. Stargirl, she has similar abilities. Her abilities come from her staff. You take away the staff, she is fundamentally weak. Well, not weak, but she doesn't have any powers. The staff gives her powers. So, I say she's probably somewhere in the similarities of Stargirl, but more in a different way. So, without me giving you guys any hints for how this artwork is on the style, I'm going to tell you guys this. I am going to go full power with her having a weapon energy combatants ability type of superpower, and I'm going to crank it up to 10,000. So everyone, we already talked about this character, but now I get to talk about how I like the character from the show. And honestly, the anime for this character, it was actually a pretty good fight. As I said, her power was morally based off of having... It seemed like it was more based off of her axe and how she can basically, with Crapit, have energy blasts and stuff, including she was affected with fear. She had the power to do that as well. But honestly, I did think it was pretty cool. So yeah, honestly, I like everything about this character, even like her attire, like dress wear, her helmet, everything. She makes me think like she's some like battle warrior from Eden or something. So yeah, but let's get to the character I made for the power system. Say hello to the character Vikera. That's right, it's not a basic name. Either way, obviously she still has the energy part of her axe. I just made it more energy based. So in other words, she can still do her blast from her hands and everything. I am also making it for then her entire energy is inside of her body, so she's able to build it up through time. So that also means she can do like air slashes with her legs and arms and shit. Also, it morally makes like a giant barrier around her that's like very thin. Actually, I shouldn't say a giant barrier. It's more like a barrier around her entire body as a suit. So basically, she has very much good protection. Also, the fact that I very much increased the axe power. So not only can the energy axe turn into several different things, I also, when I studied her original axe, she had like a sharp part on the bottom part, so I just put a blade in instead. Also, I wanted to say this. It can also make shift into other things like a spear, scythe, or anything, and it also is able to shorten it to make it be more like a sword or basically nunchucks. Also, if you guys look very closely at the parts that are glowing, those means that it can technically separate and become flimsy. In 6 different parts can be separated, basically with energy flimsy tendrils. This also gives it the whole standing reach thing she did in the scene when she was trying to figure out how to defeat a girl who has the power of law. So yeah, I do find this character really cool. And for one ability, just because I just feel like being a little fancy, I'm also saying that her power does arrive to something a form of darkness, so she can, if she does, she can also do more of like an eclipse slash. Also, she summons like a very, like, think a shadowy ball, but also with a little bit of red, and she can shoot that too. It also does a lot more damage. So, yeah.
Let's get to the video.
Well, like me, I don't remember this guy's name other than the superhero name that was Tornado Man or something. Goshen, you remember? It was Tornado some.
Oh yeah, no, he is Tornado Man.
Yeah. Had the power to make move things out of the ground and make tornadoes out of them.
Yeah, he has the power to control wind.
Yes. And
he's an airbender, basically.
Yes, and how much we saw him make tornadoes, apparently he had a more dangerous move where where his energy aura turned red. But still, we don't know what the fuck that was supposed to do.
Well, I'm guessing that was not really his power. That's just something that is not seen, but you can just, you see because you can feel it.
Yeah. And my only assumption here is that he was trying to twist the creature from the inside. So I think, so in that aspect, yes. He has the power of tornadoes, and that's it. Well, he has the power to levitate objects and twist them as he levitates them.
I'm going to force you. Want to hear my old pitch back in Indiana?
Technically, he shouldn't. Technically, this guy shouldn't be a villain. But I had less heroes this section than before. In this, I could have made him a hero, but I would rather him stay as a villain, because again, the only reason why I kept him there was because of the fact that I didn't have that many people in my section. Now, I have a lot, and I'm happy with that. So, he's going to stay a villain. Also, he's a jackass, so I advocate with that alone. Okay, so see you guys later. And I'm gonna be honest, I was slightly more pumped to do this video until I realized which one I had to do first. Okay. So the power we are adapting today is the power of, I forget his name already. I think his name was like Tornado Twister or Tornado something, whatever. Either way, his main ability is is that he can't make tornadoes. He has to take an object and he spins it to make a tornado. Now, saying this also means there actually are a lot of other things I want to talk about than this, that. There was also something else he did, but I have been trying to figure out for months. And then as I try to remember closely and precisely of what happened, I think I now know what happened. So when he said he said something in the lines of, "You made me do this. You made it," and so his energy turning from blue to red had this giant reverse thing. I remember. Almost everything was affected around him, but it was the creature itself. Now, obviously, he can fly, and obviously he doesn't twist himself. So what I think he does is that his power allows him to twist things, but in a certain time moment. So for obvious reasons, he doesn't twist himself, because if he did, he would die. he would die, because he would twist himself, and just tear himself in half. So obviously he has more control over it, but also this red force thing, I think this meant that it takes a little bit of energy just to take objects and other things around him and twist them around, making tornadoes. But then, when you're counting a person, it takes a little bit harder to twist them into pieces. Also, that's more of him trying to kill somebody at that point. So that means that he needs to add extra force to the person itself. So I found a way to increase his power. So not only am I adapting all of these powers, I was like, what can I give this guy? This guy just has a kind of a basic tornado ability. Then I was like, what happened if he could imbue other elements into it? Basically turning an object that he has around his power and turning it into something else as a part of the element spectrum. So a sandstorm tornado, say, for say. What about a thing that causes fire? And like some type of, because there actually is charcoal that if they clash together they can cause fire. In a tornado, a lot of things hit one another inside of the tornado, obviously, and that's how some things start flying out of the tornado because they got hit by another force of something. So that means, so in my eyes, I think he could turn his tornadoes into other things, like say a sand tornado or a winter tornado breeze or anything really. Other things he would need to be near the source, but that I feel like that's fine. Also, I'm giving him heightened control over it. So basically, he can take it and break the object down as he twists it, making technically like air constructs, but not really. These are things that kind of can. The only thing that's cutting you is the thing that is spinning faster on the sharp parts. Basically, he is manipulating it to spin so fast that it is basically able to cut you, but there are things that you will go through. So it'll be like the Ghostbusters, like Scooby-Doo, like how they would try and capture something, it went through, and then suddenly they capture him, and then finally he captures the ghost and whatever, right? So yeah, you just need to focus on the white parts of it. Also, I don't like the fact that he can just fly regularly. I would like the fact that he does make a tornado around him, but also he can basically make it as huge. So when he's in the center, he can make it as the biggest tornado storm ever. But he has to be in the center of it. This requires him to do his red form, because this is basically critical and this could possibly kill him. So, and that means he can create a full elemental storm. I think that would be pretty cool. Tell me guys what you guys think.
Hey guys!
So yeah, I had to quickly make this because I forgot to do it. Alright, so this is the next person I'm showing. After this, we get to the long line of people I want to use so bad for a power system for my universe as villains. So in other words, I can't wait to do those. I am so pumped. So, either way, this guy, I'm calling him Dark Elf. I don't give two shits whatever his actual fucking name is. I remember his name is Dragon. I would rather call him Dark Elf than Dragon. I get that he sounds cool, but his powers has nothing to do with that name. And who knows, maybe I'll use his powers and make a dragon out of it. So, his powers are brutal, to say the least. His powers are basically under the alignment of you need to get your fucking ass whooped to use it. In other words, his power is what I like to call impact power. Impact means that the damage that you hit someone with, they can release it to you tenfold. In any way, shape, or form. Some people have, there's a few people who have this type of power, but so it's rare-ish to see people with powers. These days, pretty rare. But honestly, there's shows and movies that have people who have this type of powers. You just gotta go dig deep for them. Either way, but it seems like his power has a darkness to it. So you see, his power comes from the fact that people see him as uh people. So he was getting bullied, but we're not gonna go to his backstory. Either way, it was a important story. He gets bullied, he gets beaten, and then he takes that damage and hits you back with it. The more powerful and the amount of hits you hit at him, he gets stronger and stronger and stronger until he wants to use that power and that strength. So basically, he literally stands there being cocky and choosing to be disrespectful and rude because he wants you to beat his ass. Because if you don't hit him, he is useless, but also you can't defeat him without hitting him. It's kind of like a weird paradox situation. But apparently, this required further darkness to be given to him, obviously. Because apparently his power is so strong to the point he can't be corrupted by fear itself. But I've explained a lot about that. And by the point, you guys can tell, fear corrupts the darkest parts of your mind and makes you go completely berserk and evil. He fucking expelled that shit out of his mouth and corrupted Nice, who he was supposed to corrupt regardless, and failed to. So, either way, then I guess he knew some of fear that damaged him and hurt his body from the inside to become a dark evil elf. He became a dark elf. And he went berserk. He basically had this dark, strange power, fighting, and he just could not be defeated. The only one who could defeat him was X. Well, I've explained his power before, but we're not going to talk about it because, again, I'm not supposed to talk about the characters and what happened to my experience with them. So, yeah. So, the power is so strong that I have to say it is on par with some of these characters. It's on par with some of the, for some of them. And this power is so strong, I had a difficulty trying to think, how would you use this power? Like, what can I do to increase it, or what can I do to add to it? So, I'm going to leave it on the back burner for now. So, yeah. So, here we go. We have Dragon. Now, I get to talk about his character. His character was interesting. I'm not gonna say he doesn't. Well, I don't think Dragon really fits his name very well. I get it. Like, I'm not saying he's, because I'm not trying to be prideful. Like, he's not a real dragon. No, but also it was kind of misleading. I thought he was gonna have the powers of a dragon. Well, I guess his powers could be from a dragon by any means necessary. Because you guys remember, I talked about his powers, how he took damage. Basically, the more he takes damage, the more powerful he got. And so, obviously, this power is very awesome. He create these flames and all this stuff, and so yeah, basically he didn't create flames, he just was very powerful and strong, and then he would get able to hit you with more power force, like more power than the equal damage you were doing to him. What was fucking cool. I could talk about freaking Nice. Jesus Christ. So, you guys don't know, his power is so broken that he can be affected by fear. What you guys don't know, fear in Hero X is the power, this thing that corrupts you and turns you mentally evil. Well, he got affected by it, but it didn't kill him. It just gave him more powers. It turned him into some type of dark elf and allowed him to go deeper into his powers. And then he spit it out from his mouth. Disgusting. And shot it at Smile, when Nice was supposed to inject, and then he failed. Instead of throwing the goddamn serum away and fighting him hands on hand, he literally chose to just be like, you know what, I'm going to use this. This should work. And then it backfired. How is it that he was sent to kill someone, didn't refused, attacked the other person, and still ended up hitting his target? Damn. Either way, it was good. Say hello to the creature that is, well, yeah, this is a full-on creature that was once human. You see, this is down to the fact that the army has basically taken our not letting them study us, where then they can make superpower weapons against for military weapon uses. And they're basically trying to make their own powers. How much they have people who have powers in the army, they decide to make something a little bit more lively. So they made this black purplish goop that's alive and glowing. And they called it, well, Impact. Impact because, it was supposed to make a person able to take whatever power they dished out and dish it back to them. This thing broke out of containment pretty soon and attacked someone named Victor Von Raymer. I don't think Marvel's used that name. If not, whatever. And also, here's the thing about this character. He was already a fucking lunatic. He was just secretly hiding it. You see, the only reason why he really joined the army was just so they can kill people without, dealing with the government. So basically, legalize murder. And as soon as he got these powers, he went crazy. Started attacking everyone around his base and made sure that everyone knew that this was actually him. And no, the power didn't just corrupt his mind. He has the ability, so obviously he has the power to, take damage and dish it back after him. It was dished to him, but there's also a few other things. This, other than him able to move his tendrils and it's able to extend, elongate, able to trap people, he has the power of blue flames that also change to purple. These flames can be used for several things. One, obviously, to attack people. But two, it can be used to raise the dead in any way he chooses. That means he can raise them fully to the point that they are... Think of it as the Naruto thing, where... What was it called? The fucking revival jutsu? Where technically they have their skins there, their bones and everything, but yeah, they're still, alive, but they're in his control. He could choose them in the zombie form, or he can choose them in skeleton form. But also he can take their abilities, memories, and their certain skills they had, agilities and other stuff. Well, he already had extreme agility and strength, so he just doesn't have durability because he needs to feel damage. This requires him, but for him to do this, he needs to eat their bones, as in he must fuse their bones into his body, giving him their athletic genes. Also, anything else they had. So pretty much, technically, if he was able to kill, let's say, Magneto, if he consumed his bones and merged them into his body, he would have the power of Magneto. So he's constantly getting stronger and feeding off of people. Being called Purple Raid. Not Raid, not Rain, Raid. Purple Raid. Also reference to Purple Rain. So yeah, I think that's all of his abilities. Yeah, that's it. Let's go. Alright. This guy's power, he's actually I like his power a lot, actually. Apparently he rolls up into a ball and he just rolls, which is like a very interesting power, and he has like spikes and stuff, but also he was like seen in like one of the other scenes, but he had like a red suit. Well, I don't know why he switched to red to green. I don't know why that was a thing, but okay. But yeah, he basically rolls up into a ball, he spins, and he can literally just... I think it gets bigger, too, because I feel like his size gets bigger when he does it as well. So it's kind of like a basic power, but it's kind of interesting to see when you think about it. Because technically, since he wears a suit made of spikes, he also hits people with a spiky armor shell. So it is pretty interesting to see when you look at it. So yeah. Sorry guys, I don't really have much to say about this power. It is a pretty basic power, but it is really interesting. It's one of the ones I was very excited to do, really. So yeah, I'll get this Hero X stuff done. For then I can start doing the powers later and all that, and we can get all that done. So yeah, don't worry. say hello to the say hello to this character. So we already talked about him, and yeah, basically he didn't have much of a speaking role. From like 2 times we've seen him, but yeah, his power is that he was able to roll himself into a ball and just spin. So with that power in mind, I didn't really have much to do, and also there's not many people with that power. So this is what I did with it. So yeah, I kind of used most of his original suit because again there was not much superhero designs to go based off of for this. And the only added power I gave him was that he can make metal spikes. He can also morph metal to make spikes as well around him. So basically he can spin around and make more spikes on spikes on spikes. Basically turn into a giant spiking rolling ball of pain. I like to name this guy, how about we call him Steam Passed? Because, you know, he's gonna steam pass you. You know, like a steamroller. Because he's gonna roll you. And you're gonna be basically dead. Oh my god. Either way, that's basically the character. I couldn't think of any other powers to give him, really. There wasn't much to give him, if I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I could usually do something with something, but this is leaving me with nothing. And again, I have to get powers that work, and his power is similar to the guy who has the expansion jutsu. Um, I'm trying to think of a My Hero Academia. I guess you can say I can give him Factum's power, where he could have absorbed damage, but the ability wasn't being fat. The ability sounds so harsh when I say it like that. The ability wasn't to be fat. The ability was to absorb damage. Well, his ability was being fat. His ability is not being fat. His ability is to turn big enough to roll itself into a ball. So in other words, yeah, there's not much I can do with that. I wish I could say otherwise, but I cannot for life of me. So in other words, yeah. So sorry this was so short. So this is one of my most. So I was very excited to see these type of villains because when I saw the papers and I saw the list of villains I had, it were not that much, and I didn't have that many villains as I had heroes again from Hero X, and I was like, man, that kind of sucks. I kind of would like some more villains, and then I watched the last one. That's still the last one, by the way. They haven't made a new one yet. And yet, this guy. So as far as I could tell, he has like some type of light energy compass. And it seems like that's all he can make. He can make compass with these little compass things. They make like slashes and other stuff. It was actually really, really fucking cool if you think about it. So basically, this character knows martial arts, but he is just very good with his kung fu weapons. Honestly, I do find his suit pretty cool too and everything. A lot of these, I think I have about... Yeah, I got like one more after this. And I think that's it. No, wait. No, two more. Because there's another one. But, yeah. Again, most of these characters, they don't have any abilities that I can really talk of. The very last one, I can at least go into an entire rant. But I can't do an entire story for these ones because these characters are, they're kind of unknown for me. And also they kind of have like a simple ability. They have a simple power, a simple ability. The one after this I'm gonna do doesn't have that much of a simple power. Well, it kind of is simple, but it's something I can go in full depths. And then the very last one, I have to talk about like 3 characters at once, so that's gonna be fun to do. So with that being said, yeah, I don't think there's anything else really to talk about. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. And yeah. Okay, everyone, so we have this one. So this guy is actually pretty cool, and it seems like he doesn't have any other powers in having light compass. I'm calling them light compass because they have light. I do not know what they're made of, so I'm calling them light compass. Either way, compass. You know what the weapons are. Either way, So, obviously his power is to make compass, because I didn't see him make anything else, but he can make slashes with them. He could, like, actually that's it. He could just do, like, slashes, and that was it. So, here we go. A little bit of a different style for the suit. This girl is a very good character. I like this one very much. So the whole thing about this character is the fact that she is a say a pretty much a good warrior. She had a dad who was a very good police officer, and kept people in check when it came to racism or shooting someone just because of their skin color. But her past took a deep change. I mean deep change. I mean her father died because, well, they said it was an accident and they misfired, but no, they purposely aimed at him. Without him, they could shoot black people without getting in trouble, and without them having to keep their cameras on all the time. This made her go to a violent rage, and her violent rage is when her powers came out. She was able to make compass, but not just compass. She's able to put them together to make spears, use them as sticks, just like Nightwing. Again, able to make a bow staff. But also, she was able to make a light type of board that doesn't move, but it helps her with running in the air, or just jumping and sprinting all over the place. She became her own form of police officer. In her eyes is better. One that kills police officers and anyone else who does bad. Turn her into a vigilante. Obviously, the amount of people who have been murdered, and this has caused a few people who are innocent, had nothing to do with it, to get killed. She believed that they were just a worthy cause to her actions. This action, though, has caused her to meet the love of her life. A man that is probably more crazier than her, actually, but they both help with their endeavors. I know that these have been really short as of late because of the fact there's not much to talk about. This one, not the same. So again, don't know their name, but I can explain their powers very well. So this one was, I don't know how else to say. He's basically a spray paint superhero. He becomes spray paint. Is the reason why he was able to follow. Well, we're not going to talk about that. But no. Basically, he can make weapons out of his spray paint. He can He can basically become a 2D picture on the wall, just like spray paint is usually. And it seems like he can create a lot of weapons and other forms of stuff with his spray paint in the physical world or just on a wall itself. So that's pretty interesting to see. I think overall this power release is very interesting to me because it just leaves a lot to be desired and a lot to be created. Like, I can imagine a lot of stuff being made with this power already. I can imagine some things I would love to tamper with this power, because it's just so interesting for me. Very interesting. But yeah. So the next one will be the last one? Yeah. The next Hero X thing will be the very last one. Because it will be the last forms of villains I have for the power section. So, yeah. So, in the other one, I talked about the light one with like compass and all that stuff, and her relationship with another person who we're going to talk about next time. And the person who we're talking about is this person. Apparently, this guy is named like Spray King or Ink King or something. I don't know. Either way, this guy is basically a person who is like a spray can power. Basically, he makes spray cans, but he also makes them as like living, moving constructs, able to make stuff like arrows from thin air or anything. And also, the only one who could have followed X inside of his, like when he goes like into 2D animation, where he's like he's a part of the wall and stuff. He's the only one who can follow him into that. What I'm thinking of calling it 2D world. um. So yeah, with those abilities said, it seems like it does have some great capabilities. Able to make living ink constructs and able to make, well, not living ink, but still movable ink stuff. But we will be increasing the power and giving him more stuff. So let's get to the story. So here we go. You guys really like this character. This one's probably my most favorite character, but he looks an awful like Michael Jackson. Not like awful. This clothing suit, it looks like Michael Jackson-ish. I do wish I could have made it a little bit more thinner now I look at it. It looks way too much bulkiness. But it's good to have always problems with Jawbreak. That means you can always advance more. Either way, this character, who's based off that power I just talked about, say hello to basically the boyfriend of the girl who I showed you earlier, who I talked about her story in what you guys probably saw after this one if you guys are watching this on YouTube. So yeah. That hasn't come out as yet because I still haven't gotten done yet, but in the future they would see this as whatever. Either way, say hello to basically Spraymaster. Spraymaster is actually a notorious person who was never caught. Basically, illegalizing spray paints. As you guys know, doing graffiti on private grounds or anything is very much illegal. But there are people who keep their identity a secret. Spray painting the walls and everything. And never been caught and never been seen at least once. And he is one of them. But as he was, using his collected spray paints, the blast made a giant electric shock, opening all of his spray cans and as they all crumbled onto him. Him being doused in all of his spray cans and all the liquid should have killed him, drowning in it. But his body became part of it, allowing him to be a mushed up ink liquid that can change his color and shape to however he fits. Not able to change the random color spots though. Either way, he can use different colors to make the same type of moving ink little constructs that power I'm taking from, and able to go into the 2D world as well. In that world, he does have a lot more power. I'm making it for that, and when he's there, he can make himself giant and big and able to basically use his ink to conjure up any other power he wants just by wielding it in the 2D world. But in the real world, well, in the other world, no, on the other side, he can actually make some pretty cool things. For one, he can make living constructs. So in other words, I'm basing this ink, like making things living, is based off of an old Chinese story I remember reading as a kid. And when I mean reading, I mean that it was like a storybook. Either way, it was about this boy who had paint and he would paint things. So one day he painted 3 dragons and they came to life, and I kind of forgot how that story ended. Or most of the story at least. But I remember that much, is that he painted 3 dragons and they came to life. They jumped off of the page. Now, I'm making it as that same story, but this character is able to do that. Make things and make creatures, and also able to make them come to life. Basically, it would be similar to the guy from Fairy Tail with picture magic. Able to make something and then make it come to life. allowing him to have enormous of any ability, really based off of what he's making. Basically, if it has a certain vibe to it and what he's making, it comes to life. The reason why the two couples are married is because, well, not married, together. Maybe they'll be married in the future. Either way, no, I haven't made a villain couple yet. And so yeah, and also these two people, both of them are breaking the law to show freedom for other things. Also now leading to people dying too. So in other words, they both believe they're doing something good when really they're not. And yeah, it's pretty good. Also, obviously, he can also, since his whole body is made of that ink stuff, he can just turn his whole body into a weapon itself. Also, armor itself. So, yeah. Let's go. Okay, so for this one, like I said, this one's going to be a little bit longer because I have to explain 3. So, let's just go up to line here, and let's just go completely left or right. I don't know. I don't know my left and right sometimes. So let's go to basically we're starting with go with the glowing eyes, in the white hair, in the maid dress for some odd reason. One, I don't understand why she's in a maid dress, but it seems like she has incredible ice powers, or at least like an ice magic type stuff, where she's like she basically used ice magic because let's see, I saw a giant magic symbol, and I saw a giant white thing, so I'm pretty sure it's ice magic. Again, I'm going to have to look at it very closely again, because I'm going to probably watch it again, just to study those powers real quick. Just to see. What is it? Next one, actually, is the other one over there. In the middle. It seems like he is a digital construct maker. Basically, he makes data digital stuff, where he makes like data digital shielding and able to make things basically digitalize. What I think is actually kind of pretty cool. If you really think about it, it's pretty cool to see that. And then the girl is actually a flame user, actually. I don't know how many times I'm going to say actually in this video. Either way, she's actually able to turn her whole entire body into flames. Well, I think it's really cool. I don't know if she can do anything else. It seems like all she has is the power to turn to a giant body of flame, and then also able to make a giant flame type surrounding field board thing. So, man, that actually is I think it's actually pretty awesome. Also, I would think would be pretty awesome if she had some other, like, she could turn to other things than just the blue flame thing. Also, I forgot to mention, yeah, that's also a thing. She is able to do blue flames. I think it's really cool. It's awesome, actually. It's like I don't know what to say. It's, And all these are villains because these are all fighting, trying to get the main character, get X itself, and defeat him and stuff. So all these are clarified as villains, and this also completes the villain saga, or basically the villain branch of Hero X. And again, Hero X still hasn't updated their stuff in a very long time. I do not know when they are going to get back on that, or they ever will. Either way, I kind of have done all their powers. Well, again, until they make another one. Until they start making more, and I can watch them again, then, of course, I'm going to go back into there, because Hero X is kind of what started this. So, yeah. Okay, so today of all days, we are getting these three. These 3 characters were like the characters that had 3. I can only get 3 pictures of them. I couldn't get like the picture with them separately. I can only get 3. So I don't know what their names say here because I don't really speak Japanese. So yeah, maybe someday I can actually like put on a Google search and just be like, hey, say this name in backwards, so it's like in English and whatever. Either way, we were talking about their powers. I did get enough of their powers, so let's go to it. We will be doing them in the lineup that they are right here. I can't really say much about them like most of the characters. Obviously, these guys had very little screens. It seemed like these guys were the backups to try and defeat Hero X, as a lot of people were. I can definitely tell this one was supposed to be like some type of maid witch type vibe. What I don't get. This guy is obviously like definitely like he's supposed to be able to technologically make vehicles and other types of constructs from his own body to make like for whatever he wants. Basically, it's just like that one movie that came out, and so yeah, and we'll talk about that a lot more. The girl, it seems like she had the power to turn to like a full-on like blue flame, and she was flying on like a wheel type motion thing. So, in other words, I think that's actually really good and really cool. So, let's go. As as I said, we were going to make we were going to go for them in order. So here is the Ice Queen. Again, she seemed like she had magic of some sort, and it was ice. Again, I couldn't tell because magical symbols don't really mean much, since a lot of people who have ice magic or any other type of magic, the symbols are kind of different between people. So when it comes to magic symbols, it's hard to really navigate what type of, if she was using magic or something. Either way, I took it as a magic route, so I went the magic route. So this person is one of the people who were thrown into a different place. So basically, I have these things called shadow dimensions, and there were some people who were teleported into them. This person is trans. I am making her officially trans. It was supposed to be a female, but just because I don't know, it just gives me some trans vibes for some reason. Well, it's not really a bad idea. This is basically the first ever trans like person I'm making, and most of these are these people will be solos. So well, solo-ish. I'm going to put them on a team just because I think it's going to be interesting, but I'll let you guys decide if they should be a team or they should be separate. Either way, all these are going to be villains. Well, obviously they're all villains. This is the villain faction. So yeah, and obviously instead of like, how most people were stuck there, she actually conquered her shattered dimension. And the shattered dimension she was in was ice. I say dimension. Shatters are a whole different place, so it's basically a shatter world, not dimension. But either way, she conquered her ice realm and became the queen of the realm. So in other words, she is the most powerful weapon there, and that is her magical ice staff. This allows her to do a lot more ice spells, or make ice constructs or weapons, or even make ice golems, or anything she wants, really. I also gave her since she's obviously, the whole thing is that when you teleport, when you've been taken into a Shadowverse, you get a special DNA inside of you that evolves the more you're in that realm, and for that reason she basically does have the power to conjure up ice spells herself, and be very quick with it too, even able to make ice creatures of sorts without the staff. The staff just boosts up her power a lot more. We have this one. Obviously, I called her Ice Queen, or I may call her basically. I think I can say Ice Queen and not to be copyrighted. I don't know. Is either gonna be Ice Queen or Ice Diva. I kind of like Ice Diva, to be honest. But this name is Techno, or Tech Cyber. Sorry, his name is really hard to pronounce for me. Either way, he has the same abilities. He's able to conjure up and make technological vehicles. They're just more physical. Obviously, there's no add-on abilities. These are disabilities. Well, the add-on ability for the Ice Queen was the fact that I was giving her ice golems because it didn't show much. This guy, the add-on ability, obviously I'm giving him, is the add-on to make them more physical and make them more hardened. So he's able to still make the gloves and weapons and other stuff. They're just more hardened, more digital. This is based off of the movie that came out. I forget the name of it. that gave me the reference. I used the suit as a reference too for a little bit, did some tinkering with designs and stuff. Basically, he's basically a digital person, and he's also able to go into the digital cyber world, basically able to jump through technology to go to the cyber world and jump through another technology, basically like Mirror Master. And then we have the last one here, and I'm calling her Element Child. This person is able to evolve into, well, turn her body into any element, and that means she has control of those elements. She's even able to use all of them in one singular attack, but this does put a lot more strain into her body. Because she's able to become the element itself, so she becomes flames, but it becomes the highest part of it, so it's blue. Well, I think that's true. She's able to do other stuff as well. But also, she's more like Mewtwo in a way, where she's like a child. Where she kind of sees it all as a game and a dangerous game, and being hurt is a part of it. Or dying is a part of it too. So in other words, she just basically, she does hurt people, but it's morally on the fact that she does not know better. So she's 14. I'm making her, she is 14, but she does have the mind of a 10-year-old that is very dangerous and very violent. So, yeah, that's the add-on, because all I saw was her being in a blue form, like a blue flame forms. I didn't see if she could switch to other elements. She didn't, and I feel like they would have done that if she could. So in other words, I'm perfectly fine with the abilities I add on. Again, these are just the abilities I could add on to. I don't know what her abilities are realistically. So yeah. But so basically from first glance, this is all I could do.